and habit number 7 is VFCE.
Time for some dinner. Chicken.
Now, as y'all can tell, I just murdered my neighbor's chicken for a very fresh dinner. Before I can show you guys exactly what I'm having for dinner today, I'll be talking on tip and habit number 7. So, in tip and habit number 7, I'm going to put forth 2 ideas. One, how what you eat affects not just your fitness or your muscle or your weight and all that, but how what you eat also affects your happiness, your sadness, and just your general mood swings, and how what you eat also affects how emotionally resilient you are towards difficult events or day-to-day events in general. And idea number 2 is the general principles or general guidelines on how to eat healthy, what is nutritionist healthy food, as well as how to stick to eating healthy for the long run. You know how most people like to go all in at the start of their new healthy journey. They try to eat healthy 6 meals a day, 3 meals a day for every day without any variation or allowing themselves to treat themselves. So I'll show you guys, or more rather generally explain to you guys how to keep to a healthy diet without feeling demotivated or feeling sian 3 weeks in. So let's begin with tip and habit number 7, number 1. Now in number 1, most people understand that what you eat affects your fitness, your weight, your muscles, and all of that. Most people understand that if you don't eat nutritious food like sugar, chocolate, too much boba tea, that your fitness levels will go down, your physical health will go down, as the common analogy is that your body is like your car. So if you give your car poor fuel, then the radiator, the heat, the water, I'm not really much of a car guy, but if you give poor fuel, then your car will start breaking down and won't process it properly. And similarly, if you give your body poor food, the non-nutritious food, then there won't be nutrition for it to process, and slowly your body will break down on a fitness level. I'm going to ask you guys to think further and think of how food and what you eat also affects your emotional health, not just your fitness, not just your physical health, but also your emotional health. Think about it in this way. Let's say you drink Monster Energy, coffee, whatever it is to get you this sugar spike, the dopamine rush and all that. You could be using it for a dopamine rush, to feel better about yourself, eating those desserts and all that, or to study, keep yourself up awake, all these short spikes of adrenaline. I would argue it is a legitimate short spike of energy, so it is a legitimate way to really stay awake if you want to do it here and there. But if you keep doing these short-term spikes, in the long run, your emotional health will start deteriorating. Why do I mean this? Well, you understand that the fitness, of course, on a fitness level, your heart is not very healthy for your heart to be spiking up and down, and it's not very healthy for your body to be taking on so much sugar. But on an emotional level, you will be spiking up and down as well. Your mood will be swinging, will be wildly erratic from happy to no energy to perhaps even sad or melancholy. So your mood swings are swinging left and right, up and down. There's no baseline, there's no level of certainty or stability. And without inner calm, without inner peace, I would argue that your anxiety most likely will skyrocket, or your feelings of inadequacy or whatever negative feelings you have is a lot more harder to control or to take it in an objective light. See, what I feel is that negative emotions are there. The way to use the negative emotions in a beneficial way is to recognize them, acknowledge them, and understand where they're coming from. Very loud traffic. Anyway, understand where they are coming from so that you can then use the negative events to then kind of motivate yourself to do more positive things. However, you can only do this if you are resilient, if you are a strong person emotionally, mentally, what have you, to learn the lessons from these negative experiences and then use it for positive experiences. If you eat lousy food, if you eat non-nutritious food, if you are not emotionally calm, if you keep spiking up and down, your mood swings are erratic, you're super not calm or consistent in how you treat yourself, in how you ensure that your body is working at an optimal level, mind and brain and body, then you will not be able to really learn from the negative emotions that you are experiencing. In fact, your emotional resilience will be so low that it will worsen your feelings towards the event. Like it might have been a level 6 on a term of bad, but you're actually going to now perceive it as a level 8 because your emotional well-being, your center, your core is not there. And this can be directly traced to what you eat. What happens is that most people overlook the small habits, the day-to-day things that make up their life because they think it's so insignificant because it's so small. and they usually think it's some huge external event or some huge internal emotional swell that unbalances them, that makes them anxiety, makes them feel all sorts of negative emotion. What I'm proposing is for you to take a step back and really look at these small habits, because these small habits, the day-to-day habits, is what makes up for the majority of life. What you eat has far more implications long-term to you than the once-in-a-while exam paper, or the once-in-a-while, you might have crashed your car into something, to the road or something, or you might have been having a fight with your parents or whatever, a huge fight. These are all hopefully, don't get into car crashes all the time. Hopefully, these are all once-in-a-while things. So what you can do, what you can control, is your small habits and to eat in a consistent and nutritious food so that you feel better. Honestly speaking, these small habits, and another one of these small habits is sleeping well, which I'll be talking about later on. But sleeping well, eating well, working out, active working out for a few minutes a day and all these small habits might seem insignificant in the short run, but it is what will make you more emotionally resilient. Okay, let's go back to specific for this. Eating proper food will make you more resilient. Eating proper food consistently will make your internal emotions more centered, and you will feel much better and much more ready to take on the world. And you might not even realize it, but subconsciously, honestly speaking, if you eat more healthy food, you will feel more wholesome and at peace within yourself. Now on to number 2, a general idea on what is healthy food and how to stick to eating healthy for the long term. My general philosophy on what is healthy food is that the more processed it is, the less healthy it is. You have your obvious options like chips, the soft drinks, all the boba tea, all these are super processed, added on sugar, added on additives to get you addicted to your product. They're not trying to sell you a product, a food product, they're trying to get you addicted to the product. So it's really, really unhealthy, and most of you do know those are unhealthy choices. What most of you probably won't realize is the not so obvious processed foods, which is basically your sausages, your fish ball, your crab sticks, all of these coming from a source of meat, but it is processed in factories to then be added on with sugars, MSGs, additives, whatever you want to call it. All these are all processed meats as well, and they're not as nutritious because in the process of processification, in the process of the factory producing them, they take out all the naturally healthy stuff, the nutritious stuff, and then they replace it with sugar and additives and all of that. So those are not very healthy as well. So keep in mind when you're going for your steamboats and you're enjoying your fish balls, your crab sticks, that they are not as healthy as one might think. So what is healthy actually? Healthy is foods that are whole foods. Basically, VFCE stands for 2 things: very freshly consumed every day, and vegetable, fish, chicken, egg. So vegetable, fish, chicken, egg is something that I eat every day. More on that later. But basically, what is healthy food is this sort of food where it's whole food, where it's not processed. Vegetables, if you don't like broccoli, you can use kangkong or whatever natural vegetables. Chicken, if you don't like chicken, you can change it to beef or lamb. Fish, if you don't like fish, you can change it to another type of meat that's fresh and whole. And eggs, well, I would say eggs is one of the healthiest things to do, especially for those of you who are trying to keep fit and build muscle. So keep the eggs in the diet. But basically, I eat VFCE every day. The general principle for you is to take the idea of eating whole foods, proper full animals, foods that are not processed, and incorporate into your diet whole foods every day. Now, on to how to eat long term. When I say I eat it every day, I'm not joking. Those of you who hang out with me in real life know that in university, in work, I would bring my Tupperware for lunch. It's a huge Tupperware that has the chicken, vegetable, fish, egg, all of that in the huge Tupperware. So I would eat it for lunch every day. It might sound very sian, it might sound very boring, but to be fair, it is a little bit. It is a little bit boring to be having the same food all the time. However, I'm going to put forth the idea of consistency, and for you to take the first consistent step in establishing a healthy eating routine without feeling demotivated or sian. Basically, most people give up on meal prep, most people give up on healthy eating because they go in all in. They want to meal prep every single meal, they want to eat super healthy for every single meal. While that's commendable, it might not be feasible or sustainable in the long term because remember, in the eat some baos tip, you kind of have to have yourself some treat meals, 90%, 10%. So what I do is that I ensure one meal, just one meal, be the same consistent food all the time. And that's what I'm proposing for you guys to do as well. Ensure that at least one meal is a consistent building block so that you can build your fitness lifestyle around one consistent block. You have a strong base and you can get super big muscles from that one strong base. So I have vegetable, fish, chicken, egg. You can have any combination of whole foods as you want, as long as you're consistent with at least one meal. And this is a personal thing, but I usually have it as a lunch thing, because dinner is usually social obligations. You know, you always hang out with your friends for dinner, so it's harder to really bring food to restaurants and all that. That never stopped me, but you know, it's harder for you if you are afraid of something like that to bring food to restaurants, and also you want to try the restaurant food. However, that doesn't mean you can eat whatever you want in the restaurant food. You stick to the whole foods rule. So try your best to eat salmon or eat steak or whatever it is. Those are whole foods, but they are cooked in a very tasty and different manner. So your taste buds aren't completely bored to death out of one meal, but you're still having nutritious whole foods as well. And of course, after that, if you want a little bit of dessert, same. You can remember tip number four. Tip number 5, eat some baos. You can have a 10% a bit off. Have a dessert after your dinner and all that. But basically, even in dinner, try to eat as much whole foods as you want. Now, let me show you guys what I'm going to be eating for dinner today and what I've been eating for at least one meal a day ever since college. I'm not lying, you guys can ask my college friends, my uni friends, whoever you want. I have been eating this exact meal in a huge Tupperware for the past 2 years at least. So this is VFCE, there's the chicken here, fish, vegetable, and eggs, some carrots as well. This is my lunch every day. Now it's my dinner every day. So healthy, nutritious food. So in summary, think of your body as a whole system. What you eat doesn't just affect your fitness, it affects your emotional and mental well-being as well. So try to eat healthy food. What is healthy food? Whole nutritious food like chicken or beef or lamb or fish. Things that are not very processed like fish balls or sugar and all that. And the best way to really eat healthy food is for you to meal prep a healthy food. However, to stick to it long term, try your best to meal prep at least one meal per day. For me, it's lunch, or it can be anything, but just one consistent meal a day is something that's consistent, fresh, and healthy. That is tip and habit number 7. Tip number 8 is to walk up and down stairs 14 times. Almost the end of the hour, time to get my steps in. In this tip and habit, I'm putting forth the idea of how just the smallest amount of steps, just the tiniest amount of movement, just being active for a little while can have huge beneficial changes to your overall mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Honestly, this theme of small tips and habits having huge impacts in your life is basically the theme for all 9 tips and habits, because these 9 tips and habits are by design. You're supposed to be able to do them every day. So if it is huge and disruptive, it is going to be very difficult to stick to it long term, but if it's small and easy to do, then it is more digestible and more likely for you to stick to it long term. The perceived downside for it being so seemingly easy to do or so small and ineffective is that most people might believe it is ineffective and not very good for you overall. They are more likely to go for the headline, for the clickbait, for the huge improvement, for the huge steps. Lose 20 kg per week. You don't eat for 1 day, fasting, intermittent fasting, work out 2 hours for every 4 hours, whatever it is, some silly huge plans and all. Most people are more likely to go for the huge steps. However, I am now submitting the idea to you guys that if you go for the huge disruptive ideas, the huge disruptive steps, you are more likely to fail because it is disrupting your normal lifestyle. You are more likely to succeed if you take these small, consistent steps every day. Now, what does this have to do with walking up and downstairs 14 times? Think about your usual life, your normal life, even before MCO, and much more so in MCO now, but even before MCO, our normal lifestyle was a very sedentary lifestyle. That means we sit in the car, we drive all the way to work, we stay at work, we stay at school, do study, and then we drive all the way back. And if you don't go to the gym, well, even if you hit the gym's like 2 hours after 24 hours, then you'll be back home watching Netflix, using your computer, doing homework, whatever. You'll be sitting down. Your whole body is just inactive, just sedentary, and that is by design, by nature, just not right. You know, we humans are supposed to be active. We're supposed to be on our feet. We're supposed to be, what's it called, hunter-gatherers. That's what the pre-civilization times called ourselves, whatever it is. We were supposed to be hunters. We're the apex predator. We're supposed to be moving around and all that. Now that technology and civilization, modernization has made it easy for us to just stay at home and do nothing, which, well, yeah, yay, go humanity. You know, we're the apex right now. But the downside is that most of us are very comfortable just sitting down and not doing anything. And this might not seem like much, but it is the same as every other tip and habit that I've put forth in this video series, or these past 2 videos, the 7 tips so far, is that these small things are killing us. The sedentary lifestyle is killing us. It's killing us because we are not meant to just be sitting down. We're not meant to just melt into the couch, melt into bed, and just consume and consume. And of course, obviously, this is very obvious from a physical standpoint. Most people understand that they are going to not lose their weight, they're going to feel super fat or whatever if they don't do workouts, if they don't walk. That's very obvious. Again, I'm asking you guys to think on a more emotional and mental well-being state of mind with regard to moving around and the necessity for you to be physically active to ensure your mental and emotional health is good as well. Now, how does this connect? How does being physically active connect to your mental and emotional health? For me personally, I always feel the best when all 3 are working in sync, and that's because I think of my entire body, I think of my entire sense of being, basically of existence, as a holistic whole machine, as a process. You cannot separate your physical health from your mental health. You cannot separate your mental health from your emotional health, and you cannot separate your emotional health from your physical health. If it's like a table, a 3-foot table. If one's gone, it's what has 3 foot? It's a unicycle is 1 cycle, bicycle is 2, tricycle, whatever it is. A tripod, yeah, okay, tripod. If a tripod has 3 legs and one of it breaks down and the camera falls down, so you are the camera, you are mental, physical, and emotional well-being are the 3 stands. So you need all 3 to support yourself, a strong base of support, one whole system. And that's more or less how I look at everything with regards to my existence. You know, when I'm working out in gym, I don't just work out one body part like bicep. I work out the chest, legs, and all that. All I want is to really push the bench press, to pull up deadlifts and all that. It's a whole body process. When I'm studying, I really need to feel emotionally settled. And you know, if you have anxiety or if you're stressing out from your other things, then it's kind of gonna affect your mental focus, your mental clarity, and then you cannot study properly. And you know, if you're emotionally disturbed, then of course it kind of affects everything else. So if you are distracted or not optimal in one sense, it's gonna bleed into every other sense. And so you gotta have to make sure every single aspect of your existence, which is basically, let's make it into basically 3 aspects, into as optimal a state as it can be. So this connects to the walking up and down stairs 14 times, because most people might have problems with their mentality or emotionality or whatever it is, because they don't realize that they are being very sedentary, because they are sitting down, they're just stewing in their own thoughts, they're just not being active. This kind of connects to tip and habit number 3, in the sense that where you have to talk to yourself, you know, to really get to know yourself. The best solution that I usually find is to always incorporate the physical aspect somehow. So even when I'm studying, sometimes I would just be standing and studying, so that it doesn't feel very sian, just sitting down for how many hours. For those of you who've seen me in college, you know I always use the standing computers back in the college, back in the old campus, just standing there and using the computer in the library. So yeah, mix your physical, mental, and emotional solutions together, and you most likely feel much better that way. Alright, so specifically how it connects to the walking up and down stairs 14 times. For me, I set reminders on my Fitbit to remind myself to actually move 250 steps at the end of every hour. So let's say from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, by 8:50, if I've only moved 100 steps or 50 steps, my Fitbit will ring, will vibrate, and it reminds me to get up and walk a bit. So I've been doing this in uni, in work, whatever it is. Every hour I'll be at least walking 200 steps, and it's not that much, it's at most 5 minutes or 14 times up and down stairs, as you can see. 250 steps to really get your blood pumping and to not just be sitting down all the time. why I put this reminder is that I feel if I do not put this reminder, it's very easy for me to just sit down and study, or sit down and do the games and all that, play my games and all that, just be super distracted and not be reminded to move. So that's where the sedentary lifestyle kills us. It's a sneaking suspicion thing. It's a very sneaky little bastard. It's a sneaky little thing that kind of catches you unawares. You don't realize how long you're sitting until after 8 hours. You're like, oh my god, it's time to end work, or it's time to go home. So that is why you should set small reminders for yourself. And 250 steps is not a lot. Like I said, all these small things you can do every day. Every hour, move 250 steps for say 10 hours. Because you'll be at work for 8 hours. So let's say 10 hours of the day you have to walk 250 steps. I put mine for 12. I think I'll show you guys later my Fitbit steps. As you saw just now, my Fitbit steps, it was 12 out of 12 hours. So yeah, make sure you set reminders to move 250 steps every hour, so you don't live a sedentary lifestyle. And in that sense, if you're actively moving around, the smallest movement, like I said, the smallest movement, 250 steps is not a lot, so just the smallest movement will have huge impacts in your overall well-being. That is tip and habit number 8. And finally, tip and habit number 9 is to construct a building every night. It's now 11:50, which means it's about time to go to bed. Usually I try to sleep by 12 or at the very latest 12:30 so that I can get a full night's rest and wake up early and then start my morning walk, greet my newspaper man and all of that very fun stuff, the whole routine thing. Now, most of you understand the benefits of sleeping early. Most of you understand the mental, physical, all of that benefits. So I'm not going to preach on you guys on why you should sleep early or the benefits of sleeping early. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain or share with you how I incentivize my want to sleep early, how I kind of make myself retrain my body, rewire my mind to want to sleep early, as opposed to feeling like it's a burden, or as opposed to feeling like I have to sleep early and all of that. So how do I make myself want to go early, to sleep early? First, we have to figure out why people are having problems with sleeping. And unless you have chronic insomnia, which I do not have a medical degree, I cannot help you with that, but unless you have a chronic insomnia and all that, the reason why most people are having difficulty with sleeping is because they're using social media or their phones and all that. So the blue light from your phones, from your computers, are all keeping your brain awake. Think about it this way: before modernization, before electricity and all that, when humans were living in pre-modern times, when the sun is up, our body is wired to go out and hunt and stay awake. When the sun is down, our body is wired to go to sleep. Our brains, our body are evolved to go to sleep when it's dark outside. But once we've invented electricity, once we've invented the light bulb, we've kind of created our own sun. We have invented our own sunlight. So basically, it allows us to, unfortunately, work through the night past 6 p.m., 7 p.m. when it's time for us to go to bed, time for us to rest, to recover. We are allowed, well, one way to look at it is we're allowed to stay up, but I would say it is quite a detrimental thing for us to be staying up so late past our natural bedtimes, which is why usually after dinner around 8 p.m. I try to lessen all the lights in my room. I switch off my lights and I have a red light filter, a twilight filter for my phone and my computer, so that the blue light doesn't slap me in the face all the time. Basically, the blue light from your phone and your computers are what's keeping your brain awake. Your brain is supposed to be getting ready to shut down and go to sleep. When it's dark, it's wired to go to sleep. But the blue light, the very bright lights from your phone and computers, are slapping you in the face. So you're always using your phones like this. Most people, I would assume, lying down in bed and very easily just relaxed using their phones like this, keeps you awake, makes you struggle to fall asleep. And furthermore, your body is very efficient. Your body is a very efficient machine, and it very quickly associates things with certain things. It associates one thing with another experience. So if you associate your bed as your comfort zone, as where you go to sleep, then you will fall asleep very quickly. However, if you associate your bed with something that is stressful, or you associate your bed with something where you use your phone or go through social media as an engaging activity, then your body will associate your bed as an engaging activity. So it's very difficult for you to then fall asleep, because your body is not hardwired to think of the bed as a comfortable place, as a place to unwind, as a place to relax and fall asleep. So basically, how I managed to start sleeping early is to incentivize my need and want for sleep over the need and want of using my phone, because using your phone, using your social media, it's all very addictive. We want to be updated on the latest news when we talk to our friends, so it's very addictive. So you have to make it a game. You have to make sleeping a game and make it a game that's more addictive than social media. How to be more, basically you have to rewire and hardwire your body to, one, think of the bed as a comfort zone, so stop using your phone and all that. But then it's very difficult to just stop using your phone, I understand. So you have to replace using your phone with another sort of game. So the game that I use, the app that I use, is called Sleep Town. Let me show you guys.
Here we are, the Sleep Town app, where it helps you build healthy sleep habits. On this screen, you can see your bedtime goal and wake up time goal. You can set it to whatever time you want. I set mine for 12:30 a.m. and for 7:30 a.m. wake up time. Then, yes, this is my correct settings. I get to see my bedtime goal, 4 hours 14 minutes from bedtime goal, and I can sleep, click the sleep button 2 hours before my set bedtime. But basically it means I can use my phone until 12:30. However, if I want to sleep earlier, I can click the sleep button at most 2 hours before my set bedtime. So what is the point of all this? It is that you are going to be able to build buildings if you stick to your bedtime routine. Look at mine, 12:16 a.m. to 7:40 a.m. Then it builds this building and I get some revenue. So it's like sort of a game, and the whole point is that you are trying to build your town. There we go. This week I managed to get 6 days, and so I managed to build this building, and it's just like a very incentivize your want to sleep early, so it keep your streak going, so you can keep building buildings. And then in the big town, you are having a large overview of your weekly sleeping progress, or how often you are managed to keep sleeping on time. And if you fail, you get a destroyed building, because I see here I woke up at 8:30 a.m. so it's slightly later than usual. So this Sleep Town app helps me incentivize and want to keep sleeping early, and it will help you as well. If you have a phone addiction or social media addiction, you have to stop using your phone at your bedtime goal. If you switch on your phone after that, it will then destroy the building and you really cannot do anything about it. So it feels very feels very painful, feel very wasted.
So that's the Sleep Town app. Basically, you're replacing your addictiveness to a social media, to your phone, to talking to your friends, with the addictiveness of playing the game, the Sleep Town game, trying to build as many buildings as you can, build as big a town as you can, and all of that very fun stuff. This can kind of apply to anything in your life. If you have an unhealthy habit, I feel that going cold turkey is quite tough. Completely cutting off, completely just not doing it, and then not replacing it with anything else. Like you have a bad habit that is part of your life, that has been stuck and integrated into your daily lifestyle already. So when you try to cut it off, when you're trying to be a healthy person, then when you just cut it all off, all the unhealthy habits, you're leaving a void in your daily life, and that is very tempting and very easy for you to fall back into bad habits because you have nothing else to do. So if you're trying to cut a bad habit, replace it with a good habit. If you're trying to cut the addictiveness of a bad habit, every time you feel like doing a bad habit, replace it with a good habit. So in this scenario, let's say the bad habit is using your phone till late night until you can't sleep. You replace it with a good habit and change it to the Sleep Town app, Sleep Town game. So that is more or less the summary for this principle. And another summary is to have your bed be a comfort zone. Don't use your phone or laptops or even study or anything stressful that is in a place that is where you're supposed to relax. You have to have a strict psychological line, very strict line between work and play and rest. So when you're resting, your bed should be just clean of anything. No books, no laptop, no charger, no anything. Just you and relaxation, so that your body is hardwired to fall asleep, so then it will fall asleep more easier. That is tip and habit number 9. We've reached the end of the 9 tips and habits that you can use every day to make yourself feel better. I genuinely hope that you guys have found something beneficial or something useful from what is essentially my daily routine, what is essentially the 9 tips and habits that I use every day to make myself feel better emotionally, mentally, physically, and just overall well-being. I'm curious to know, seeing as how this video series has been published over a 3-week period, if you guys has used any of these tips and habits in the past few weeks. And I really am curious to know if you guys have used it, if you guys have felt any better, if you guys have felt any improvement or even regression in your lives from using this. So yeah, just share with me down in the comments if you guys have used it, if you guys agree with my reasoning for it, and whatever it is, share it down in the comments and we'll talk. As always, thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a like. If you have any opinions or comments you want to share, give a comment down below and we'll start a conversation. And if you want to see more, if you're interested in the next video, hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video.